20 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
1 2 1 2. Welcome back, everybody. We're here for the final time this season at Motive for Season 8 here on the PlayStation 5 for the GT3 Championship. And we're underway here into turn one. Got a bit of a depleted field tonight due to the fact that it's very hot weather and the summertime is never good. The final round to the season has been delayed by 2 weeks, so we kind of should have expected this. But nonetheless, we're coming up towards turn two for the first time. Looking like Huron's has got a better start than Vermeulen here off of the line. And it's got the inside coming up towards turn two. As they're side by side here coming into the corner, Vermeulen's going to try and hang it around the outside, but Huron's has got that move completed there up into the lead. Goes a little bit deeper into the corner than Vermeulen did, and Vermeulen going to try and come back at him into this next sequence of corners here. Vermeulen is still keeping himself around the outside. Hurans is probably going to see him off through this next couple of corners. No, Vermeulen managing to hang it around the outside there. Great stuff there from Jared Vermeulen, and he's backing up into the lead of the race, and looks like Hurans is getting swamped here by Overtaker, who's looking up the inside of him as well. In the end, Hurans manages to stay ahead of Overtaker by the skin of his teeth there, but Overtaker was looking pretty racy here, trying to knock him while he was down for a second just there then. So it's currently Vermeulen from Vermeulen from Hurans from Overtaker, with Luke van der Streets there running in 4th place at the moment ahead of Paul Vidler. Reece Parker there in 6th place ahead of Ravy Fernie, followed by Iraqi. Then you've got Scooter, Paul, Glenn and Nilsson at the back running in P11. Obviously, Peter Nilsson making his return to Motive here tonight, and he looks like he's running into trouble here on the opening lap, so he'll have to maybe get some damage fixed. I'm not sure. There is a mandatory pit stop, so he will be able to get himself in and get that damage fixed without too much dramas, but obviously good points on offer tonight, saying that it's his only race of the season, so it's probably not going to make too much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. But nonetheless, we come through towards the chase here for the first time. It's Vermeulen leading from Hurans with Overtaker there ahead of Luke van der Streets. You got Vidler, Parker, Fernie, the top 7 drivers ahead of Raki and Paul, and then you've got Glenn and Nilsson running in P10 and 11 right now. So the top 9 currently still in a bit of a train of cars here as they come into the final corner once again here to complete the first lap of the race. And Jared Vermeulen on course at the moment to take what would be his 5th championship in the GT3 here at Motive. What an achievement that would be, but Hurans is currently chasing his 4th, but the odds are stacked against him here tonight to secure the championship. Currently he's leading the race, so he'd need everything to go pretty catastrophically wrong for him if he were to lose this championship here tonight. Vermeulen's pretty much got this one signed and sealed as long as he gets it round. It would, I mean, if he got some serious damage and ended up having to do a long pit stop, then it could potentially give Hurans the opportunity that he's looking for here, but it's very, very unlikely. Overtaker and Vidler have also got very outside chances of winning the championship. They are mathematically in contention, but they would need Vermeulen and Hurans to both disconnect or to not complete the race distance. So I think that's very unlikely that they're not going to complete the race distance. Bear in mind, we give points at Motive if you finish 80% of the winner's race distance. So pretty much you'd have to spend 20% of the race in the pits to not be able to do that. So yeah, it's very unlikely that would happen. But yeah, currently Vermeulen here keeping the gap to Hurans just under a second. Overtaker keeping him in sight at the moment, and Luke also not too far away as well. Vidler is coming under pressure from Reece Parker in the battle for P5. You've got Fernie and Raki just starting to drop off at these a little bit here. Scooter Paul there running in 9th place, a few seconds clear of Glenn, and Nilsson not too far off for the back of Glenn. They're running in P11, but not really keeping with him at this point in time. Obviously had that difficult opening lap, did Nilsson, had a bit of a incident, which we didn't actually see, but that kind of knocked him off at the back of everybody else a little bit here, but nonetheless keeping going on his return here to Motive. It'd be good for him to get a little run out here at the end of this season. Obviously, we're planning on starting up again in the middle of August. Also, we're going to be running a Nordschleifer event at the start of August. It'll probably be the week before the start of the season, so probably the first week of August, I would have thought. So it's going to be either a 3 or a 4 hour race. It will be teams of 2. So yeah, each driver will do an hour and a half or 2 hours stint, and that will be the way we do it. I'll probably put some money on the line. May do it for charity. Who knows if we've got any ideas? I might get to leave their suggestions in the driver suggestions or something. I'm not sure yet. We might not. I don't know. It depends on how much time I've got to sort of dedicate to it. But it'll be nice to do something anyway. But nonetheless, the gap just over a second here between Vermeulen and Hurans at this point. Luke van der Streets there, 3rd place, just ahead of Overtaker at this point. So he's actually made that move there as Luke van der Streets up into 3rd place. I'm going to call him Luke for the time. Streets or Van der Streets or... but yeah, currently he's just ahead of Overtaker here, right in his battle for 3rd place. There's still a couple of seconds clear of Vidler and Parker, who are also battling over P5 at this point. Fernie now putting up onto the back of Scooter Paul here. Bloody hell, we got 128 people watching. What's going on? Who's clicked on a view bot? Oh no, who's done it? But nonetheless, it's Vermeulen still out in front right now. We're just under a second ahead of Hurans. We've got Luke Van der Streets here, still running in third place ahead of Overtaker. Parker here trying to put the pressure on Vidler as they come into the chase once again. So plenty of battles going on. The battle for first, third and fifth. Each battle consisting of 2 drivers at this point. Fernie also on the back of Scooter Paul still in his battle for 8th place as they're coming into the chicane here. Fernie looking very racy here on the back of Scooter Paul as they come down the hill towards the final corner. Now you can see Paul trying to defend to the inside. Now reverts back to his normal racing line there. Feels he's far enough ahead there to not have to defend the position. But despite having quite a depleted grid here tonight, there's actually some good battles going on. It shows that quality over quantity really is actually a true statement in certain scenarios, and right now we're seeing that because you've got Vermeulen and Hurans keeping each other on their toes at the moment. You've got Overtaker still in the back of Luke, despite Luke getting ahead of him, and Parker here is really trying to get something done with Paul Vidler at the moment. So exciting stuff here in the opening few laps. Raki falling off at the back of Parker. He's pulled away from Paul, and Scooter Paul is still coming under pressure here from Remy Fernie as they're coming through into the middle sector here on lap 4 of the race. Looks like Hurans are just closing the gap to Vermeulen a little bit through the first sector here. That looks to me to be just under a second, I'd say. It was just over before. But Hurans knows he needs to get ahead of Vermeulen, and he needs to force Vermeulen into a mistake. He needs to try and roll Vermeulen up here a little bit tonight. But easier said than done. Jared Vermeulen, corners personified behind the wheel. We know him very well. He's been racing here at Motive now for a number of years. And he's got 4 championships in this GT3 championship to show for. He's also got 1 championship in the Sprint League, which we used to run back in the day on the PlayStation 4 platform. So overall, he's a 5-time champion, but in this particular series, he's got 4 championships, looking to make it 5 here tonight. Hurans has won the last 3. Well, no, not the last 3, sorry. He won 3 in a row. Before, obviously, these 2 were reserves last season. They didn't take part full time. And we actually crowned a new champion last season. Matthew Duffin took the championship. Despite not taking a win the last season, he was very consistent, constantly putting points on the board and managed to take the championship. These 2 raced every other week, but that wasn't enough for either of them to mount a championship challenge as you'd expect. So, and Vidler still keeping Parker at bay in these battles behind. Vermeulen's gap to Huron still just over a second at this point. So no real changes at the moment. Fernie's still keeping Scooter Paul honest here in his battle for 8th place. Parker here still keeping Vidler on his toes at this point as well. Raki there running in P7, a few seconds clear of Paul and Fernie, who are still going at it right now. Fernie, I tell you what, out of all the drivers who are in battles at the moment, Fernie's looking like the one most likely to get something done here. He is all over the back of Paul as he gets a little bit out of shape there. But look at this. I mean, he is the one who's certainly looking most likely to make a breakthrough here. He's been hassling now for a number of laps, and every time we flick to them, seems like he's almost hitting him in the rear or closing up to him under braking significantly. Oh, Scooter Paul makes a mistake there onto the grass. Fernie's going to maybe try and swoop through. No, not close enough to capitalise there due to the fact that he had a bit of a scrappy few corners before that, and that was unfortunately didn't enable him to be there, jolly on the spot, waiting to capitalise on that one. And for the time being, Scooter Paul holds on in this battle for 8th place. Fernie can't get it done at the moment. So Scooter Paul still running 8th place for the time being as they now come down the hill towards the chase. Now is Fernie going to fancy a move here coming into the chicane in that slipstream, getting closer and closer and closer. What's his straight line speed like? He's looking pretty good as he's getting closer and closer now, poking a nose to the inside, not alongside though, and it's still going to be Paul holding on going into the chicane, so nothing doing at the moment between these. situation's still the same in terms of the other battles going on right now. Keeping an eye out for those. Fernie now coming into the pits, so interesting there because it's way before the pit window, or not the pit window, you know what I mean. So yeah, he's coming in obviously very early on in the race, presumably doing a full tank, running the race on one set of tyres because there'd be no point changing them at this point in the race. You're getting next to no benefit from it later on. With only 5-lap pressure tyres, there'd be absolutely no point. So Vermeulen continuing to eke out that gap to Hurans. It's now a second and a half between those two. Luke van der Street's here, still got Overtaker behind him. Half a second between these two. So Overtaker keeping him, looking over his shoulder here. Luke van der Street's. You've got Vidler here who's managed to pull away from Reece Parker a little bit. A second and a half now between those two. Racky's still running in P7, well clear of Scuderia Paul, who's now running by himself because Remy Fernie's coming to the pit. So Remy Fernie hoping he might be able to maybe get an undercut here on Scuderia Paul. Big points on offer for these two, obviously. Well, for everyone who's a regular, who's raced with us throughout this season, because there's a lot of drivers here who have been scrapping, trying to pick up points here and there. And with the depleted field here tonight, due to the, I think mainly due to the time of year and the weather, just a load of contributing factors. I mean, people signed up to a championship which ended a week ago. So you can kind of understand why we're still sat here with only 11 people, because ultimately the championship was meant to end last week on the 16th of June. We ended up pushing back the season by 2 weeks due to some Formula 1 week and then the Euros the week after. And pretty much my original plan was to do Laguna Seca this week and then do Bathurst next week, but I'm glad we scrapped that idea. Oh, it was Remy Fernie straight on there over the chicane at the mountaintop. Wow, that was he definitely got a warning for that, but he didn't get a penalty for the time being. Clearly that's his first indiscretion, or his second, because on the third attempt that would be a get into pits now and do a drive-through type shenanigans. But for the time being, getting away with it. Cosmic Mike says oi oi. Also, what Mickford there in the comments says, Glenn, if you can see this, you're not watching the road. Let's hope that Glenn didn't read it then. And JR saying a very nice compliment, and also saying good luck, chaps, to the drivers out on track who are obviously doing well at the moment. Oh, it's Huron's there, big slide. But I haven't seen any incidents so far. I haven't seen anybody put it in the wall or get damage, which is no mean feat around a circuit like this. Bathurst, it's essentially, it's a purpose-built racetrack, but it's like a street circuit, the top part of the mountain section. It's like a street circuit almost, with the walls and everything, the setup, how it is. I don't know if they're public roads. If anybody does know out there, I'd actually be fascinated to know, because they do have a bit of an air. The top part of the circuit does have a bit of an air of public roads about it. Cosmic Mike, any news on plans for next season? Starting in mid-August. Obviously, with the end of the season not being great, we do need a little bit of a Kickstarter, I think, for next season. So we are going to be running an event at the start of August. It'll probably be the Nordschleifer event, which I've talked about at considerable length in previous streams over the course of this season. So we'll probably be running probably a 4-hour endurance. So teams of 2, each driver does a 2-hour stint. And we'll be advertising that all over SimGrid and all over Facebook and all over socials, everywhere. We'll be trying to get that out there. That will hopefully get a few people into the community, and then we can start the season off a bit stronger than we've ended it, to say the least. That'll be good. And obviously, the main reason I think for the low turnout this week is because the season was actually meant to end last week. Obviously, the final race was supposed to be on the 16th of June. Which is actually, it's 1 week ago today. So, you can kind of understand the reason why we're a little bit down on numbers here this week. Only 11 of us here, but I did put a little notice in the GT3 chat earlier on, just thanking all the guys who are here tonight, and obviously imploring everybody to stay in the server for the duration of the race, because there's huge points on offer, and obviously I will be checking everyone out over the course of this race, and we'll be doing little onboards as well. Speaking of which, I think the next up we're going to jump on board with our race leader Vermeulen, Jared Vermeulen, possibly, who knows, soon to be a 5-time champion of the GT3 here at Motive Racing. If he can continue doing what he's doing right now, leading out front. We've just lost a driver here as well, which is unfortunate. Was it a disconnection or was it a rage quit? It seems like we've lost Glenn. No, not Glenn, sorry, not Glenn. Do apologise, Glenn. Sorry, mate. We've lost Ramy Fernie from the race. He was running in P11, so maybe he has decided to throw in the towel. Maybe that wasn't an enforced departure. Maybe that was maybe that was at his discretion. I'm not sure. But yeah, nonetheless, we are man down here, which is a bit unfortunate because we're kind of already low enough. Cosy Mike, much appreciated, buddy. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, obviously, you're more than welcome to join back on the grid. I know you're following us on SimGrid. I think you were one of our first followers on SimGrid. After we obviously became a host on there, and it's allowed us to incorporate drivers' aims into our actual leaderboard in the servers and create a bit more authenticity in the league. And obviously, people have to drive to a set car. It's a bit more official. If people want to change car, they have to go through the admin and let us know, and then because obviously you're locked into a certain car, you have to pick the car that you've registered to the championship with when you join the servers. Your number's already picked for you, and obviously your name's there as well. I don't know why. It's a bit satisfying when you jump in a server and your car and your name and your number is all there ready for you, and it's like it just kind of feels quite cool. Oh no, Jared Vermeulen's hit the wall. He loses it there going into the chicane. Oh my goodness, we were just watching him there as he stacked it under the brakes. The race leader, the championship leader, has had an absolute horror show here. He's got big damage there on the front of the car. He's got Hurons all over the back of him here. Oh my goodness me, this is absolutely incredible. Jared Vermeulen here, living dangerously. Is he going to come into the pits? Was he on a half-tank strategy? Was he on a full-tank strategy? We're not quite sure. He's going to have to bring it in, and this is going to be a fight back here. Hurons is going to take the lead of the race, and the championship is wide open here because Jared Vermeulen came into this knowing he had to finish P5 tonight to take the championship. It was looking like it was going to be a routine drive to the win and to the championship, and now, suddenly, he's got a fight on his hands. This is absolutely incredible. He now needs to get in the pits and get that damage fixed. And he needs to take it easy for the rest of this race. He needs to limit himself a little bit here. He can't push too much now. If he one more mistake like that, and that is his championship done. He's still in it at the moment, but Martin Hurons now has the advantage. You've got to say he's got to be the favourite for the championship right now. Out in front still, has got the advantage over everybody else. You've got overtaken now into second place with Luke van der Streets in third. These two now battling over the podium places with Paul Vidler in the back going up into fourth place. Reece Parker moves up into fifth. As Raki there getting it a little bit out of shape out of the final corner, but keeping it together for the time being. But wow, this is absolutely unbelievable here. Jared Vermeulen, the 4-time champion of the GT3s, tonight was looking like it was going to be his big night. Obviously, the last 12 months or the last 16 months, if you look at it precisely, have not been really the sort of the what we come to expect from him, because his last championship that he took here was actually in March of 2023. That was for season 3 on the PlayStation 5. For the GT3. That was his last championship. Then, obviously, Hurons took 3 in a row. Then we saw Duffin take last season. But, yeah, tonight was meant to be Vermeulen's big return. But it appears to have taken a big setback here tonight. Hurons out in front, has now got the championship. Surely he's the one who's the favourite at this point. But Vermeulen needs to get it back up into 5th place. That is the plan. That's got to be the target here for him. He needs P5 for the championship. As long as he finishes P5, it doesn't matter what Hurons does. It's difficult to know who's got the advantage at this point, because it's still realistic for Vermeulen to get himself back up into 5th place. How bad was that damage? How much longer did he spend in the pit box as a result of it? And ultimately, how far has that knocked him back here? Hurons coming over the line here to complete lap 10 of the race. Vermeulen is almost he's less than halfway through the lap, but he's not far off of the halfway point of the lap. So basically, I reckon the gap is probably just over a minute between them. Probably about a minute and 20 seconds, something around that between them. Now, obviously, an unobstructed pit stop would probably be about 40 seconds. With tyre change, it'd probably be about a minute and 10. So yeah, he's probably lost about 10 or 15 seconds and all of that. So when you factor that in, he's probably going to be okay here. Well, it's difficult to know at this point, but it's certainly brought a little bit of uncertainty about this. And now that we know he's got a mistake in him, is that just going to play on his mind a little bit? Knowing that one more mistake like that, and that is it. It's going to be curtains for his championship. Now he needs to shift his focus away from going going all guns blazing. He needs to shift his focus towards bringing it home in 5th place or higher. That's basically all he needs at this point. He does not need any more than that. If it was 6th, I'd say it'd probably be doable, but the top 5 aren't too far apart. 20 seconds separates the top 5 at this point. That is quite a lot, but it's not enormous. But then obviously you've got a further 14 seconds back to Raki running in P6, so the top 5 are kind of doing their thing at the moment.
at the halfway mark. Keep pushing.
audio, audio, audio. Audio, audio. I don't know what the hell's going on. Literally, I do not know what the hell's going on. Why has my mic been muted for the last 15 minutes? I haven't pressed anything. I haven't touched anything. I haven't done anything. And my stupid... Oh, okay. Just calm down. Just calm down. Let's not ruin it. Let's not ruin it. Let's not ruin it. Let's not ruin it. This is not the way to behave. No, stop. Welcome back, everybody, to Bathurst here for the final round of the season here at Motive Racing in the GT3 Championship. So we got just over 20 minutes left in the race. We currently got Martin Hurans out in front. So I think my audio was working when Vermeulen put it in the wall. I wonder if it was my reaction to that caused my audio to go, because I was shouting into the mic proper loud. I don't know if that caused it to go off. Oh, for God's sake. Is that just going to play on his mind a little bit? Knowing that one more... No, I'm not quite sure when the cut-off happened. No, I'm not quite sure when the... Well, thank God Senna joined. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you for being the one to inform me of the outage. Oh my God, man. That's just so annoying. Right, I'm just going to have it on in the background just so I know. You'll be able to hear a very faint sort of audio in the background, but I need it there. You'll be able to hear a very faint sort of audio in the background, but I need it there. Oh, for fuck's sake, man. Right, so here we are then. Martin Hurans leading the race. His gap over Vidler currently just under 26 seconds, so he's got the win pretty much in the bag by the looks of it. But whether or not he's going to be able to win the championship here with Jared Vermeulen currently running in P5. As we said before, all that Jared Vermeulen needs in this race is a P5 to take the championship. So as things stand in this one, he's pretty much got it covered, despite that mistake going into the chicane on the mountain top. But a fair way to go yet in the race, so anything can happen. He just needs to keep his cool and not make that same mistake again. As long as he knows what happens, as long as he understands what caused it, he can take steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. As long as he knows what happens, as long as he understands what caused it, he can take steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. But yeah, currently Huron's doing everything he needs to do out the front, and has got this one under control. Just noticing that Reece Parker's closing up onto the back of Scuderia Paul. Obviously, Reece Parker has been into the pits already in this race, so he should be pretty much without any issues on the back of Paul here. Vermeulen now within 2 seconds of Luke van der Street, so that'll be another position gained here for him. Not sure where they are in relation to Paul Vidler either, who's still yet to pit. So Vermeulen could be on course for a podium here in this one. But Jared Vermeulen there within a second and a half right now of Luke van der Streets. Parker now brought the gap down to bang on 2 seconds between himself and Paul, and you can see he's continuing to bring that gap down there. It's now even less than that. I think you can see visibly that's less than 2 seconds. It's only just over 1 second, I reckon. In fact, could be under a second now between these two. So Parker there pulling up onto the back of Scuderia Paul now in this fight for 6th place, which is obviously Not going to be too much of an issue here for Reece Parker, and he breezes by. Paul there just hitting the wall a little bit, and Reece Parker there up into P6. Job done there for him. Already having pitted here, Reece Parker. Long way behind Luke van der Streets and Vermeulen. Don't know if he had a sketchy pit stop or what, but or maybe he had to change tyres. I'm not sure. I'll just apologise to everybody for the audio in the background. We might have to get used to this because my headphones cannot be trusted. I'll just apologise to everybody for the audio in the background. We might have to get used to this because my headphones cannot be trusted. Oh, he just couldn't make it up. I go to throw my phone further away and the wire gets stuck. Oh, he just couldn't make it up. I go to throw my phone further away and the wire gets stuck. Glenn is in the pits again for an extra pit stop. Oh, Overtakers had another crash. Overtaker, another moment. That is his battle for third in the championship. That is the nail in that one, unfortunately for him. He's got the fastest lap of the race, but that's not going to count for anything. You don't get any bonus points for fastest lap. And that is him out of the race here. Pretty much, I think that's him done. It's going to be Paul Vidler who will be bringing home bronze for this season. Our Season 2 on the PlayStation 5 champion. It's going to be Paul Vidler who will be bringing home bronze for this season. Our Season 2 on the PlayStation 5. Obviously a bit great for Paul Vidler because the last few seasons have been a little bit rough, but his return to form this season truly has been great to see. Obviously he took the Season 2 championship in dramatic fashion when he had that last lap battle with Max Power, which he obviously ended up passing in with a few corners left to go on fresher tyres. And yeah, this season he's been very consistent. He's been up there. Missed one round, I think it was. Well, no, actually, I think in the end, no, he did miss one round. I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of the rounds he wasn't here for. But yeah, he's currently running in P2 right now, and he's quite a way off of Hurans, but it'll be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to Van der Streets and Vermeulen here. Overtaker running in P9, but that will drop down to P10, I'm sure, because Glenn is out there right now, and Overtaker still yet to actually tick that box for his mandatory pit stop as well, despite having been into the pits twice. Scuderia Paul in the pits doing his mandatory right now, and he's off the Jackson away. I think he might lose position to Nilsson here. Nilsson's coming around turn 1, so has Nilsson managed to nab 7th place here in the closing stage of this race? Not sure if it's on the same lap as him. Tell you what, why not jump on board here with Martin Hurans? Race leader coming through the mountaintop section. 3-time champion of the GT3 here at Motive. Has obviously won the Sprint League twice as well. So overall, he's a 5-time champion here at Motive. In a way, himself and Vermeulen are tied in some way here at Motive because they're both 5-time champions altogether. Albeit Hurans has won the GT3 3 times and the Sprint League twice. Vermeulen has won the GT3 4 times and the Sprint League once. So they're both 5-time champions tonight. One of them becomes a 6-time champion. It's looking like it's going to be Jared Vermeulen, despite Huron's doing everything he needs to do out the front, because Jared Vermeulen currently in a position where he will, as things stand, take the championship. But Martin Huron's, formerly known as Tynus in the house, still known as Tynus in the house, for those of you who have been around for a while. And yeah, he's currently coming into the final corner as we're watching him at the moment. Here's Raki, currently running in P5 at this point. Raki, a veteran here of Motive Racing, has been around now for about 4 years. He's been with us here since the early days on ACC on the PlayStation 4. Raced with us in the GT3, the Porsche Super Cup. He was regular in the Porsche Super Cup, always up there fighting for podiums in that one. He's a little known fact, he is also the father of our 3-time Formula 1 champion on the EA Sports Formula 1 game, Joram. And clearly got some talent, which he's passed on. But yeah, he's currently running P5 in this race at the moment. He's done his pit stop, so he's not going to drop back any places unless he makes a mistake. Saying that, though, Reece Parker's not too far behind him, so only 7 seconds that gap. I think Reece Parker had a bit of a botched pit stop because he was in the fight up near the front in the early stages, but things seems to have just taken a bit of a turn for the worse for him. We've got Raki now just coming around to put a lap on Glenn, who's running in 9th place here in this race. Here's Luke van der Streets coming into turn 1, currently running in P4 here tonight. He's been passed by Jared Vermeulen. Jared Vermeulen is now running in 3rd place. He's 2 seconds behind Vermeulen at this point. So Vermeulen now in a podium spot. Obviously only needed P5 to win the championship, so he's doing more than enough as things stand, is Vermeulen. It's looking like it's going to be pretty much done in his favour unless he makes a huge mistake, unless he does what he did earlier, which isn't completely removed from the bounds of possibilities. But you'd think he'd be taking it easy at this point, wouldn't be taking too many risks. It would be foolish for him to do so right now when he's got the championship so closely within his grasp. But riding on with Luke van der Streets, who used to race with us back on Project Cars 2 in the old days as well. He's somebody who's been around for a long time, albeit not constantly. He's been and gone and then come back, and he's sort of like, he's always been on the periphery. He's been in the Discord server, I think, constantly, but he's been in and out of the actual activity in terms of the championships. But yeah, he used to race with us in the Clio Cup back on Project Cars 2. Raced with us on ACC and the GT3 a few seasons back as well, I remember. He's I used to see him in Project Cars 2 lobbies quite a bit, a very long time ago. But obviously I don't really race anymore, so I really the only sort of time I see people racing now is when we have our league races on. Don't really get online anymore, to be honest. But yeah, he's currently running in 4th place, driving a really strong race here tonight. A late standing reserve, not a regular this season. This is his first race of the season. Be good to see if he can jump in next season as a permanent driver. Got Scuderia Paul currently running in 7th place, another one of our long-serving drivers here at Motive. Good friends with Raki and Glenn. I believe those 3 guys sat in a party chat somewhere. They usually are, the GT UK boys. Paul currently running about a second ahead of Nilsson here. So Nilsson, I think, had actually jumped him in the pit stops, and then now Paul's got back ahead of him, so he's obviously made that move somewhere, not sure where. But yeah, Scuderia Paul running in 7th place here in this one. Reece Parker, P6 in this race here tonight. He'll be pretty pleased with that, I'm sure. He's raced a couple of times this season, not a regular, but I know he wanted to be a regular. Due to my piss poor organisation skills this season, I've been all over the place with sorting out the driver lineups, and I mentioned to him earlier in the season about having a permanent seat. To be fair, it's been a shambles for me this season. It's been a shambles for me for the last few seasons, to be honest. I'm hoping by the autumn it should be all everything should be smooth sailing. Hopefully I'll have most of my shit together by then, and we can just sort of focus on having a really strong season where I'm giving it my all on the comms and behind the scenes as well with the admin and everything, keeping it on top of everything, because I understand for the drivers it can be a bit demoralising when it seems like the admin isn't being done on the championship and things aren't being sorted out. I know, I understand it, believe me. It's not been the best last few seasons from myself, but I do hope to have everything stabilised pretty soon. We will have a season in the summertime. It's probably not going to be, if I'm perfectly honest, I will be completely honest, it's probably not going to be a return to normality. It'll probably be a similar patchy sort of season, the summer season. I'm hoping by about October we'll have another season starting in October, which will go to the end of the year. I'm hoping by then we'll have everything pretty much aligned how we need it to be in terms of just everything. My city to in one league by then. Hopefully we'll be running a Porsche Cup and maybe a multi-class on Wednesday. Fingers crossed this for start of August we'll get the ball a little bit and revert a little bit. It's not been a bad season. Audio check, audio check. Audio check, audio check. Audio, 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 audio. Alright, audio is working. Right. Nilsson currently running in PA at the moment. And he's making his first race here tonight for a while as well. Raced with us back in the PS4 days. Used to race in, I think, all the leagues actually. No, he didn't race in the Porsche Cup. I think he raced in the GT3 and the GT4 on Wednesdays and Sundays. Fingers crossed we'll have him back next season as well. Hopefully we can fill up the grid with a few of the old faces and maybe some new ones as well. As I said before, with the Nordschleife event. But yeah, Nilsson, I believe he's a former rallycross driver. I remember we used to have a page of information about all the drivers, and I distinctly remember seeing a bit about him, about how he used to race rallycross and how I think he's I know he's from Scandinavia, I think Sweden. Please don't be angry with me, Nilsson, if I got that wrong. Please don't be Norway or something. I think he's Swedish, but I don't quote me on that. But yeah, good to see Nilsson back out on track once again here. Peter Nilsson currently running in 8th place in this race, which is not bad at all when you consider the late notice that he's jumped in here. I'm sure with a bit of practice he can get himself into some strong points consistently. Obviously tonight with the depleted field it's strong points anyway. Albeit obviously we mentioned before, the Season 2 champion here on the PlayStation 5, driving in 2nd place right now, currently on course as well for a 3rd in the championship. He won't be 2nd by the end, we don't think, because he's still yet to pit in this race. He's 35 seconds ahead of Vermeulen at this point. So he probably come up behind Jared Vermeulen. Might get ahead of Luke van der Street though for 3rd place. Could be close, that one. Here is Jared Vermeulen, potential champion-elect here. As he gets a little bit wide there onto the grass. This is where he made the mistake early in the race. No such incidents this time around. But he's our 4-time champion here in the GT3. Looking to try and make it 5 here tonight. And doing everything he needs to do to currently make that one a reality. Glenn there running in 9th place in this race. Been a quiet race for him here tonight, but a very reliable, consistent racer. Always shows up, and he's an enthusiastic sim racer, part of the GT UK, the GameTech group. I've done a few races with GameTech back when I used to actually have a rig. I used to actually have the wherewithal to be able to drive myself. Back when I used to race some PlayStation 5 lobbies here on ACC. But yeah, that's where I met Glenn and a few guys. I already knew Raki and Scooter Paul at that point, but a few of the other guys like Chris jumped in then, and yeah, a few others as well who aren't here tonight. But Glenn currently still going around in P9 at the moment. His best lap of 2:09.4. DJ Ken says, I don't remember you racing with us. It was probably a couple of years ago now. Game Tech was doing a few little lobbies, like he was just running his own servers. I remember because Raki told me about it, and Raki goes, there's a big YouTuber doing some races in some servers. You could maybe do a bit of recruiting for the league. So I jumped in, had a bit of fun on there, and saw he's a massive YouTuber. And yeah, just obviously was pretty magneted to that. We got Overtaker in, who's obviously retired from the race. He's running in P10, or still running in P10. I don't know whether he's completed enough of the race distance to get points. That remains to be seen, and we'll find out at the end of the race. But keep an eye on that. Yeah, DJ Ken says was most likely on track with you. Yeah, I think so. There was a lot of people in there. I remember that. I remember back then he was doing a lot of Brands Hatch. He'd usually start off on Brands Hatch, and then I remember we did Kyle Army. I remember we did. I can't remember. I remember we did a lot of races around Brands Hatch. I remember that quite well. But in the meantime, it's still Hurons out the front in this race, with just a couple of laps left to go here at Bathurst for this season here in the GT3 Championship at Motive Racing on the console. And Martin Hurons has capitalised on everything he could here tonight, but he is going to come up short in the championship with Jared Vermeulen running in third place. He only needed P5 here tonight to take the title. It was a hairy few laps for him in the mid part of the race, where he made a mistake going into the mountaintop chicane, ended up in the wall with damage, had to fix that damage, cost him I think only about 15 seconds in terms of race time. He got himself in quickly, and the damage wasn't too bad, and he was just got on with it, didn't he? Didn't really let it affect him, didn't knock his confidence. I think a lot of drivers would have been overcome by that and would have started driving in fear for the rest of the race, but he has done no such thing. Nilsson here into the pits. So he stops in his box now, so he's coming in for an extracurricular pit stop here. This one not scheduled. Hurons now into the pits to make his mandatory at the final time of asking. Vidler's coming to the pits. He came out ahead of Vermeulen, so Paul Vidler actually running in second place here. I thought that Vermeulen might be within striking distance, but he isn't. And that means that Paul Vidler's going to finish second in the final race of the season here. Hurons into the pits, obviously the race leader. He will re-emerge with the race lead comfortably there, on and off the jacks in a matter of seconds. Paul Vidler nowhere to be seen. He's coming into the final sector. Hurons just coming out of turn one now. So yeah, that's done. Hurons has got this win in the bag. No questions asked, no dramas there for him, as he comes down the little straight towards turn two. So it's Martin Hurons who will be winning this race here tonight at Bathurst for the final race of the season. Paul Vidler, our Season 2 champion. The top three, all former champions here at Motive. None of them the reigning champion, but they're all former champions. Hurons, the three-time champion. Vidler, just the one. And Vermeulen, four-time champion. So between these three, 8 championships here at Motive in the GT3 between them. But Vermeulen is going to be this season's champion. Last season, obviously, Matthew Duffin took the championship with a very consistent season. These two, Hurons and Vermeulen, were only reserves last season. Vidler wasn't able to make too many of the races, so he wasn't really a contender either. But nonetheless, Martin Hurons coming into the final sector here. He's got over 40 seconds over Paul Vidler. That, I tell you, that is dominance there from him. Vermeulen 50 seconds behind here. It just goes to show how much time he lost there with his mistake in the mid part of the race, but didn't allow that to get him down, didn't allow that to stop him at all, did he? He just got on with it. But nonetheless, here comes Martin Hurans into the final few corners here for Season 8 here on the PlayStation 5, or the console now, I suppose. But here he comes through the final corner for the final time in the season here at Mount Panorama. It is going to be Martin Hurans, the three-time champion of the GT3, who takes tonight's race. And it's second place in the championship there for him, which is absolutely creditable indeed there, but not the season I'm sure he wanted. I'm sure when in the mid part of the race when he saw Vermeulen in the wall, he might have been clinging to some hope that he could have regained his title and taken his fourth crown. But it wasn't to be for Martin Hurans. Vidler here coming into the final part of the lap here, into the chase in second place, the Season 2 champion. He's also going to secure third place in this season standings, with Overtaker having a scrappy final race of the season. Overtaker looked to have the advantage in that battle for third in the early part of the race, but due to a crash in the just before the halfway point, it pretty much put paid to that for him. But Vidler over the line to take second place. But here is your champion for Season 8 here on the PlayStation 5. It's Jared Vermeulen, who regains his title over a year since he last won a championship here at Motive. He's been on a lengthy barren run, but Jared Vermeulen is a 5-time champion here for the GT3 at Motive Racing. Congratulations, Jared Vermeulen. What a feat that is, as we see Luke van der Streets over the line to take fourth place here in the end on his return appearance here tonight. We got Raki coming into the final sector, a couple of seconds clear of Reece Parker. He should be able to bring this one home ahead of him. Peter Nilsson and Glenn have both finished the race in 8th and 9th places. They've taken the checkered flag already. Overtaker in the pits. He'll be finishing the race in the pits as well. But Jared Vermeulen, congratulations to him on taking his 5th crown here. Jazzman does it once again. Raki into the final corner is going to take P5 here tonight. Reece Parker closing the gap to him all the way. Scooter Paul finishes a lap down in 7th. And Raki and Reece Parker, the last drivers on the lead lap there in P5 and 6. And that is your lot for tonight here at Bathurst. That is the season done. And it's Martin Hurans who takes the victory here tonight, ahead of Paul Vidler in second and Jared Vermeulen completing the podium and taking the championship as well. 5 GT3 championships for Jared Vermeulen. What a superb achievement there from him. Returns himself to the top of the pecking order, and a long-awaited return as well. Great to see. But that is that, guys, for tonight and for the season. And big thanks to all of those who turned out tonight. Obviously, we were supposed to end the season last week, so fully understandable that we were short on numbers here this week. To be expected, really, in the circumstances. But we'll be back next season. We'll have a pre-season event planned for the Nordschleife at the start of August to kind of get things back going again. So obviously we'll be advertising that on SimGrid and Facebook and any socials that we might have, Discord. So guys, once that's out, obviously any help will be appreciated. Get the word out. Let's try and get the full 60 drivers, because obviously teams of 2 or 58 drivers I think it'll be, should be. But yeah, that'll be great. I'll be commentating and streaming as always for that one. Hopefully we can make it an absolute cracker of an event. But from all of us here at Motive Racing, it's thanks once again. And we'll have the sign-ups out for the next season. We'll also have the Nordschleife event up very soon as well. But until then, take it easy, everybody, and good night.